Gary, it's not football season, but I got to ask, man, how about them?
Who, the Tar Heels?
They didn't do so well either.
I just told CJ I'm in the fantasy league. My two football team, Cowboys and the Panthers. It's been a bad weekend for football.
It got ugly really quick for the Cowboys. The Panthers were like heartbreaking because they were like at the 9. All you got to do is score a touchdown to win, to kick a field goal.
Bad clock management.
I'm like, that's not good. Yeah, bad clock management, not run the ball enough, and yeah, some questionable play calls in there too. All right, guys, let's hit it. Here we go. All right, we're back with episode 2 of Talking Preps Basketball. We had a really good time last week. Got the whole crew with me. Got Coach Lewis, the guru.
Welcome.
Gary Richmond, football and basketball Talking Preps, doing double duty. Coach Mitchell from South Met. The 1 RC, Randall Clark. Why the 1 RC, by the way?
It was just a unique name that I came up with a while ago when I put my Twitter handle together.
Okay. All right. Then we got Alex Bass, a little controversial last week. Get a few comments on Twitter from up in the Raleigh area.
Well, if controversy is involved in speaking the truth, then so be it, and I'll do it again this week.
Oh, boy. Here we go. And last but not least, we got my man Jason Grube, the state championship coach over Huff High School. How you doing, Coach?
Good to be here. How you doing, y'all?
Doing well, doing well. Well, guys, the big news this week was Governor Roy Cooper requiring all high school athletes to wear masks indoors. Volleyball have been doing it. Obviously, swimmers can't do it in the water. But can basketball players play basketball with a mask? Chrissy, you start.
Well, we started wearing a mask in workouts about 3 weeks ago, and it's definitely different. We stop a lot more often for water breaks. We, about 10 minutes, and we're ready to take off the mask for a minute and get some water and breathe. The kids have noticed that it's easier to breathe in the disposable paper blue mask that you can get than in these little custom cloth masks that people buy. So right now the girls have just, been trying to experiment a little bit with what's easier to breathe in. And to be honest with you, I don't like it. The girls don't like it, but if that's what it takes for us to have a season, then we'll do it.
All right, Gary, thoughts?
Yeah, like Christy said, if you want to play, you're gonna have to endure it. Athletes are very adaptable to change. Like she said, it's a short burst. They can wear them, but they start pulling them down a little bit so they can breathe. And then the other thing is, even though the disposable masks are more convenient, they also get wet because of the perspiration. So, but if that's what it's going to take to play, then I think the kids are willing to do it.
Yeah. Coach Lewis, interested for your perspective. You've been running basketball tournaments since July. What do you think about this?
I'm not in favor of it, but in order to have basketball, we have to do it, then so be it. But I do think the coaches are going to have to really manage the game as far as timeouts and substitution patterns because, you're going to have these kids. It's going to be very difficult to breathe through those masks. I just tried it the other day, just get on the treadmill and try to walk, then run with a mask. It's pretty tough. So I can imagine what the players are going to go through running up and down the court. So I do think that the coaches are going to have to change the way they coach and substitute more freely.
All right, Jason, as a high school coach, what are your thoughts?
I'm looking at all the other levels. We saw NBA play. We're seeing college basketball this past weekend, and I didn't see a mask on the floor. That's going to be tough. At the end of the day, like everybody mentioned, I'll wear a mask. I'll do whatever you got to do. But at some point, I think that, it might be more detrimental. If you're wearing a mask, it's going to inhibit that breathing. And if you're up and down the court, we train the kids to run hard. And if you're not getting oxygen, I don't know. I don't know if that's a bigger risk. That's what I do worry about. But like I said, we'll adjust, we'll figure it out. But I don't know. It's hard seeing it being done.
Yeah. Randall, as a trainer, you going to start training with masks?
We were in the gym today, and I did have lot of kids in the gym today with masks just because I'm like, if you're gonna have to practice with it and you're gonna have to play with it, we might as well start now. It was weird. Not a lot of complaining because I think the kids at this point are trying to get used to it. It was something I wasn't comfortable with, though, to be honest with you, just because, you know, when we go, you know, we're going hard. We're trying to get as many reps as possible. So, you know, I don't want anybody, you know, having any incidents in the gym. So, kind of like what Coach Mitchell said, we're taking a lot more breaks and making sure that everybody's getting water, staying hydrated, and kind of just giving them a little bit of time to breathe.
All right, guys, it's time for Alex. Should we all hold our breath?
Give it to him straight. No chaser, Alex.
Alex, your thoughts. Straight, no chasing. Mask in North Carolina.
It's most appropriate we're discussing this as the holiday shopping season has started. And what do I mean by that? Everybody wants something for nothing. It's ridiculous when we stop here and think that why are we at this point where we're even having to have this conversation right here? We all know that we need to get our positive tests rates for COVID to about 5%. We're over 7% right now. We all do that. And why are we at this point right here? Because the very same people who want to participate in the wonderful, wholesome, formative events and endeavors run by great people like Christy Mitchell, Gary Richmond, Randall Clark, Rick Lewis, Jason Grube, everyone who wants to participate in their events, when these wonderful people do everything that they're supposed to do, but the people who come to their events don't want to do what they have to do in advance, which is mask up. It's the same people who want to sit on here and watch great journalists like Langston Wirtz, who tell us every time when somebody does something well in the local area, an alum who's gone on to do something, and Langston tells us, all right, everyone, you know the drill. 1, 2, 3, stand up. Well, that's wonderful. We all can stand up, but it's those same people who want to participate in the wonderful events run by my esteemed fellow panelists right here who do a great job, but they don't want to prepare as necessary. All right, 1, 2, 3, stand up. It's the same people who don't want to adhere to 1, 2, 3, masks up. That's why we're at this point right now.
All right.
It disheartens me that we have to have this conversation. It disheartens me to be here with Rick Lewis, Gary Richmond, Christy Mitchell, Jason Grube, and Randall Clark, who are committed to doing things the right way and providing wholesome experiences and venues in which young people can thrive. But these people don't want to do what they have to in advance before going to their programs. That's why we're having this conversation right now.
I think there's a lot of COVID fatigue in not just Charlotte, North Carolina, Raleigh, everywhere. I think there's COVID fatigue and people just want to get out and do things. But I think if we can just work it out for a couple more months, that's some help on the way. But all that said, I talked to a state championship coach, Coach Lewis, this past week, and when all these rules came out, and he said the first thing we should do is go to the Rock Hill Sport and Event Center, which you've been using, and have the private schools rented out and have games on Tuesdays and Fridays on all 9 courts. What are your thoughts? Would that work to go there? Then you could bypass the mask mandate.
I think it would be a pretty good idea, in my opinion. I think there's a way to do it the right way, and I think we sort of set the blueprint for that. And I think when you think about all these different events, you can play in a safe environment if everybody buys in. And by that, I mean, for example, the coaches at the school or the travel ball team, they have to buy in. It's like when you go walk into the event, you got to say, okay, guys, make sure you're wearing your mask at all times, wear it in the warm-ups. During the course of the game, you can take your mask off. And then when you go back to the bench and you're sitting on the bench, you can put your mask back on. And then when you go back in, put the mask back, take it off. I think if everybody did that, and also immediately after the game, make sure that the players put their mask on before leaving the bench area. The frustrating part for me is I've been doing about 12 to 14 events, and you got about 90% of the coaches that will buy into it, but there's always going to be that 10% that really doesn't care. And, if I'm an AAU coach, travel ball coach, or high school coach in this environment, I would not have my kids come out onto the court without wearing a mask. That would be my responsibility as a coach. You're going to wear the mask into the facility. You're going to wear it while you're warming up. And then when you're on the bench, you're going to wear it. And what I would do as a coach, I would have them, when they go into the game, you take your mask off. You can throw those masks away, have someone on the bench, have the new, the disposable mask as they come out of the game. Here's your mask, put it back on, sit on the bench, social distance. As soon as the game is over, do the same thing. Put your mask back on before we leave the facility. Disinfect the area. And I think if we did those type of things, we could do this in a safe environment, play the game of basketball without the mask.
Going back to
what I would add to that, I think the governor has given the colleges an exemption.
Yes.
And who do the high school players look at? They look at the colleges because that's where they want to go.
Yeah.
And I think he's sending mixed messages when he says, well, the colleges don't have to do it. They have an exemption, but the high schools do. I don't think that's sending the right message. I think, if he's going to go with that, and if he thinks that's best for the state of North Carolina, then I think he needs to tell the colleges the same thing.
Gary, can I add one thing to it? And it's sort of sad that we joke about it, but I've had some players.
I don't think Gary's joking.
No, I'm just saying. No, what I'm saying is, throughout this, you have some people go, that is a very smart virus because it's only going to affect the high school players, not the college players.
Right.
That's the point that Gary's making.
Right.
Does it bother you guys though that if the private schools did go to Rock Hill, it would be hard for the private schools in Raleigh to get all the way to Rock Hill, and you have North Carolina teams playing games in South Carolina for North Carolina championship. Does that matter or not?
Yes, it does.
Yeah, I think it matters.
Yeah, it is abominable all the way around. Playing for North Carolina state championships in South Carolina, and I'm moving beyond the athletic piece here.
Mm-hmm.
It is insult to everyday working people who are unable to work remotely as it is right now, let alone to relocate their jobs somewhere else to avoid a mandate or get out of these circumstances in a pandemic. And we're almost trivializing life-changing situations, some already irrevocably, to play for a state championship. The fact that we want to move things out of this state is another issue. But that's mitigated by the fact about what Rick just said. I am just repulsed totally that everybody on this panel does what they're supposed to do correctly. Rick Lewis has run events for years and done it the right way.
Well, that leads me to my next question, though, Alex. Is should we maybe postpone the season right now?
Absolutely.
The order goes to December 11th, and hopefully if the numbers go down, maybe he would lift that December 11th, or maybe not. But should we postpone the season, guys? Coach Grube, Coach Mitchell, thoughts?
Well, for us, we don't start playing until January. So, and you've got so many sports that have been pushed back. I think now we have like 5 seasons instead of having 3 seasons. So if you push basketball back, you're going to push football back even more, and baseball back even more, and wrestling back even more. I think I talked to our wrestling coach the other day, and I think he said that their wrestling state championship is like in June. We're going to be out of school for a month before the state championship will actually happen for wrestling. So I don't think we're in a position right now to be able to push the public schools back. I mean, private schools are playing, and I haven't heard anything right now about anything happening with the private schools, a COVID outbreak or teams having to, as far in North Carolina at least, teams having to quarantine or cancel games at the private school level. So I say that we're in a good point. So we need to just continue moving forward.
We have had a couple teams have to postpone games, but one of them with Country Day was related to the football quarantine they had earlier. But Coach Grube, your thoughts on that? Do you think, Coach Mitchell makes a very strong case about not postponing, but should we even think about that? Or should we just kind of say we're going to wear masks and that's what we're going to do?
I mean, I don't think anything should be left off the table, but I just find it's very polarizing and politicizing. I mean, we're talking about a state that's not very far down, from North Carolina, 20 miles down. There's no mask requirements whatsoever. You're talking about a division between private schools and public schools. Clearly, the private schools in football, which is a high contact sport, a red sport, is what we call in the NCHSAA. they did it the right way. I think that we've got the protocols in place where the limited number of fans, where you're going to have the exposures, are there. And I think that, like Alex said, if we just do our part, having said that, doing our part, how long do we do our part? This happened in March, and we talked about all summer long if we wear a mask, and I remember at a time they said don't wear a mask. The CDC said it wasn't a good idea. The World Health Organization said it wasn't a good idea. Then we figured out more about the disease. So I just think that we need to get on the same page. I think that like Gary said earlier, we got colleges that are showing that they don't need to wear a mask. I think that needs to be across the board. So that's my thought, or my 1 cent.
Anybody else?
Well, and who's to say that things will be any better in March than they are right now?
Well, I think there's the thing about this potion, this vaccine, which, we're way down the line. We're not anywhere close to that. I think teachers might be third or fourth on that line, but, you need to get it to the people that are the most susceptible. And the people that are most susceptible are more exposed by, their grandkids who probably went to Thanksgiving dinner and not the smartest thing and are asymptomatic. And that's what the scary thing about it is. And I just worry, like Christy said, or moving this stuff back, that we get into a situation where we'll keep postponing it and we're running into, somebody else. And then we're also getting into flu season. So do I have COVID because I got a cough? And you got a lot of people out there that are kind of on edge. They're paranoid. They get a cough and they go get a test, and then there's other people who coughing lungs out and they're going to practice the next day. They're not going to get tested. You
kind of jumped into my next question. You guys think the vaccine will have any effect at all on the season?
Nope.
No.
I don't think so. Not at all.
So basically, we got to just decide to play in mask or whatever the rules are, and just kind of and go for it. Is that what we're saying?
Pretty
1,
much.
2, 3 masks up.
Langston, I went to South Meck Olympic volleyball game the other day at South Meck, and the way they had things set up made perfect sense. We had at South Meck, we had the bench set up 6 feet apart, the chair set up 6 feet apart. They were staggered, so there were like 2 rows. Mm-hmm. The volleyball teams did not switch sides of the court like they normally do. They stayed on one side. There was only 25 fans that were allowed in. So I think that CMS has put in the proper precautions. And, it's just up to the individual schools to make sure that they are following the precautions and making sure that we're doing the best we can in order for us to have a season.
Absolutely. I think, we all have our own, like Alex said, we all have our own responsibilities. It disheartens me when I read about clubs in Charlotte with lines wrapped around the building and having their liquor license revoked and things like that. I understand people are tired, but, we just got to persevere a little bit longer. It's now time for a new segment. I'm almost scared of this segment. It's called Alex's 2 cents. I'm going to play the theme music. When I come back, you'll be on the one shot. Don't get me in trouble. Don't make me lose my FCC license. Have a good time.
NTHSA Commissioner Q. Tucker, while exemplifying visionary planning within her prevailing safety and wellness commitments, has given us a golden opportunity this week, which is the most important week for high school basketball and football. Basketball practice will begin Monday, December 7th. Educators, as in school and sport administrators and teacher coaches, have a unique opportunity to strategize for how they will partner in support of what is best for students. The condensed NCHSA sports calendar requires unique collaborations, particularly among basketball and football coaches, so student athletes may realize the best of both worlds and play both sports during this unprecedented school year. We have an example to follow at Reidsville High School, where Tucker taught and coached. Breon Pass, Reidsville's football and basketball standout and a North Carolina State basketball signee, has affirmed that he will play football and basketball during his 12th grade year. Pass made the admirable, loyal 2-sport decision. Now, Reidsville basketball and football coaches Jason Ross and Jimmy Teague seemingly are going to make it happen. Now, will this practice become the norm, or will schools pass, pun intended, on sharing athletes and force students into all or nothing decisions, which long have been dismayed by Commissioner Tucker? These initial decisions can be made by adults. Administrators and coaches, let us heed the NCHSAA sportsmanship charge and lead by example in working together. For as the association reminds us always, through sportsmanship, together we will make the right call. Thank you.
Wow, I was a little worried, but okay. You brought it home.
I feel like Alex is supposed to be like a newscaster.
I know, right? He's like Walter Cronkite. All right, we're going to bring in one of the very best coaches I've ever run across, Clarence Johnson. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing well, thank you.
CJ,
What's happening?
I understand you have a little history with some of the people on the screen.
Oh, I've got some tremendous history with some of these folk on the street. We've had some serious wars over the years.
Yeah. Well, this man has won 250 games, 6 conference titles, 6 conference tournament titles. You've been to 4 Final Fours. Is that correct?
That's correct. We've been
AAU Hall of Famer. I met CJ back when he was coaching one of the best AAU teams I've ever seen, the Charlotte Sonics. Had Jeff McGinnis and Jerry Stackhouse and Capel on that team. And you guys went down to Winston-Salem, first AAU national I'd ever been to. And you guys played Virginia in the finals. They kept telling me about this guy named Chuck. And I'm like, who's Chuck? And Chuck was Allen Iverson.
Yeah.
He was a junior. He was unreal at 40 points. I mean, the most spectacular high school, one of the most spectacular high school basketball performances I've ever seen. But that was a great run. That was a great team you had, Coach.
I appreciate that. That was a great experience. I'm glad you kind of brought that up because I just wanted to touch a little bit. Coach had talked about it a little bit last week when we talk about AAU and travel ball and sneaker ball. You know, sometimes AAU gets a bad rap because everybody thinks that spring and summer ball is all AAU basketball, and technically it's not. There's a lot of parameters in order to have an AAU team, and sometimes people just get caught up in the skills and the glamour of these travel teams, and if they have some setbacks, they blame it on AAU, and I just don't think that's fair to AAU, and I'm hoping that people get a better understanding of that whole AAU process.
Yeah, I wonder. We were talking about MASH. You in the back room. You heard some of that discussion. What are your thoughts about high school girls on your team practicing and MASH in just a couple of weeks?
Well, you know, I think it goes back to what the other coaches have said. We want to play. The girls want to play. The seniors want to play, and we'll do whatever is going to be safe. Safe for all the athletes. You know, in these workouts, we've been doing a test run with it, and it is a challenge. And it's our responsibility as coaches to remind the girls to keep your mask on, and we have to we have to continue to repeat that. But they want to play bad, and we're going to do whatever we can to make that happen.
Yeah, well, I hope you guys do go ahead and play. I think the kids need it. I see an emotional release when I see the kids out there. It's the biggest smiles. It seems to be a little bit more important this year than some of the other years that I've covered it. As I said, I met you like 30 years ago coaching high-level boys basketball. Now you coach high-level girls basketball. Is there a difference? What are the differences?
In my opinion, the only difference is the girls play below the rim. I mean, girls want to be disciplined. Girls want to compete. Girls want to win. Girls want to play defense. I mean, that's the only real. I mean, the game is a little slower. I got to admit that. I mean, the male athletes, of course, a lot quicker. But my hesitation, I thought it was going to be different. But I'll never forget when Erica Turner introduced me to coaching on the ladies' side. She told me, in the beginning, she said the girls want to play hard, they want to be disciplined, they want to compete, and they're going to be as loyal to the game as any of the other athletes that you've ever had. So I was cool with that, and it was true. The girls, they go at it. Now, and they're a little more emotional. I mean, sometimes when they get mad at you, it takes a while for them to chill out. But once they calm down and realize the coach really loves you and everything's going to be all right, they're all right. But other than that, they're good.
CJ, my man, people don't realize that all the wars you and I had, battling for conference championship, after the game was over, We were buddy. We
Right.
we run into each other at the local establishment and laugh about it and say,
the
hey,
local establishment. Okay.
yeah, and you would say, hey, I need you to beat this team for me. And I would say, okay, but you got to do this team for me.
Right.
And we give each other scouting reports just so we would meet up for the conference championship.
Right.
You know, you are my favorite rival. You are the only coach that has a winning record against me.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. That's major. We had some wars, there's no doubt about that. But what folk don't realize, in those days, Huff was good as hell. Lake Norman was good as hell. I mean, it was a battle, man. I mean, to protect your home was a big thing. You go to Lake Norman, and you know it. And back then, those girls were real skilled. They came. That's another thing. They came from volleyball, played basketball. There was no big deal. Now to get a volleyball girl to play basketball, that's a whole nother show. But Lake Norman, Huff, us, and thank God I got into it. West Charlotte. But I was just getting ready to say, fortunately, when I got into it, them good West Charlotte teams was gone because they had some monsters back in them days. So
yeah. Well, I got a few of those whippings.
Right.
But that brings us to my question. How do you think it's changed since you first started? How has girls basketball changed from you when you got your first start under Erica, and then you morphed, you moved into the seat 12 inches away. You moved into the head coach, and you had to make decisions and deal with parents and AAU coaches. How do you think it's changed from when you got your start as a girls assistant to being a varsity head coach?
Well, a couple of things, and I know folk gonna get mad at me, but our parents have been a little bit more challenging. You know, they won't relax and let us do our thing. So that's all. That dynamic has always been tough. And then in reference to summer ball, when I was coming through, there's no way in the world that I'm gonna be working out or practicing a summer team while Coach McCullough or Leroy Holden or Bruce Chrysler or any of those guys are still in season. There's no way in the world I would do that. It's just a whole different dynamic. But a lot of that has to do with NCAA. I mean, NCAA has backed off of the high school scene a little bit and is more involved in, you know, going to summer ball and things of that nature. So it's a different dynamic. That's why last week when y'all guys were talking, it was good for me to hear Coach talk about the relationships that he's had with summer coaches in the past, because I think it would be great for the kids if it was a little bit more communication.
All right, Coach, you're on the hot seat now. You know, I got the chance to see you guys play quite a bit last year.
Right.
And you know, you went through the gauntlet, and we had that team right down the road from you guys, Vance, and they got to that championship game. So tell me, how motivated are you to get to Creek to pass those semis? That's where you got last year. And do you think this is the team that can do it?
Well, to be honest with you, Vance is strong. Vance and the advantages that they have, they've got all the upperclassmen coming back. We're kind of young. Currently right now, the Vance Mallard Creek rivalry is really, if both of us were 0-0, that's the biggest game of our season. And the girls are going to play hard, and it's going to be fun. You know, they're tough. We got to be ready. I mean, anytime you play a good veteran team, senior dominated, it's always going to be a challenge. And we just got to work to bring our girls up to that level and see what we can do.
Well, I know we can never count Mallard Creek out. So, Coach, where do you think our game is going? And do you think, or do you worry that travel ball is going to take over?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, I'm having challenges with travel ball. Right now, I'm hoping that it doesn't get to that point, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to continue to have good relationships with travel ball. But at some points, I worry about it, like how soccer and volleyball now are having challenges with what they call club ball. I think we both can exist. I just think that as long as we continue to respect each other, I think it'll be fine. I think especially on the girls' side, the girls need to run. They need to. It's not like the guys can just get up, go down to the park, or go to the Y, or go to the rec center. So as much as the girls can play is only going to help them. I just think that we just have to respect each other's time, and I think communication is a big piece, and I think we can coexist.
And in your opinion, what separates the good player from the great player?
Well, the great player continues to work on their game. Number one, they're what we call that gym rat that continuously wants to get better. There's no downtime. It's no off season. They continue to work on their craft to get better. That's, to me, that's what it takes. Basketball has gotten to the point now on both sides. It's a 12-month sport, so it's all about working hard and doing your thing.
CJ, I'm gonna hit you with one that you hadn't had a chance to think about, but you've been around a good while. And who would you say have been the top 5 CMS girls basketball teams that you've seen in the last 15 years?
Basketball teams, not players.
Teams.
Okay, well, without a doubt, that West Charlotte team was about the best that I've seen in my time. I think it was the West Charlotte. I think North has had some good teams. And see, the thing about it is, unfortunately, in season you don't get a chance to see the other guys as much until the playoffs. So sometimes it's not really fair. Those 2 teams at Myers Park. So that's 4 right there, and I haven't even said anything about our team. So I would have to put myself in there, but the top 5 that's tough, man. That's tough because them 2 teams those 2 teams at Myers Park and that one West Charlotte team, those were some special athletes. You could arguably say those were pro teams. Them girls were pro level players. So yeah, we've seen some good ones.
Okay, then last year I'm gonna let out a little secret between the 2 of us.
Okay,
I came to a lot of your games last year because I like to watch you play and coach. Mm-hmm. I like to watch you get stressed out. And but anyway, you asked me a couple of times. You said, "What's retirement like? What's it like?" Mm-hmm. And you say, "I'm thinking about it. Right. I'm thinking about it." Right. And last we talked, you said, "I'm going back. How much longer are you gonna do this?"
Well, I'm gonna do it until I'm not having any fun anymore. I'm not fortunate like Langston and them guys. They like to play golf, and so they got an outlet. I like to coach. I'm not a golfer. And I might move over and let somebody else, take over. But I think I'll always be involved in basketball. I mean, that's my thing. That's my passion. Because I would struggle with what my hobby is after this is, after I decide, okay, I'm out of here, But I think I'll always be involved with basketball at some level. I just think it's a year-to-year thing. And fortunately, we've been blessed that we've had players and it keeps the thing interesting.
You think you could go through a rebuild?
Well, that's what I'm gonna be going through now. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, I've got a sophomore guard and a senior, a senior 2-3 that are real skilled, and then everybody else are role players. So, I mean, but I like coaching, so I have no problem with rebuilding. As long as the barbershop and the peanut gallery understand that we're rebuilding, I'm okay. I'm okay because they'll beat you. They'll beat you up. Oh, he's too old. Oh, he can't do it no more. Oh, he stinks. So as long as they know that we are rebuilding, I'll be all right. You know. So yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Well, Coach, that brings us to the next question. You just saw that you could slide down there and take that number 2 role. You got 3 on this panel, been coaching for a while as well. Give us a few nuggets. You know, when that time comes, you've learned a lot of lessons. Throw us experienced coaches, Coach Mitchell and Coach Richmond and me, a few nuggets. And then when you're ready to move over, a few nuggets to those younger, inexperienced coach.
Well, the biggest part of my success is I've always surrounded myself with great people. With this run at Mallard Creek on the girls' side, I've had Coach Kerry Sargent, and he's been able to keep me grounded because sometimes I'll lose it, sometimes I'll get frustrated, and because of the knowledge that he has in basketball has helped us be successful tremendously. So I think the big key is to continue to surround yourself with good people. You don't need yes people. You need people that know basketball and know how to work with people. And then as a head coach, and I learned this way back when I used to coach with Coach Joyner, is he let me be an assistant. It's important to let your folk work because otherwise they're not gonna grow or they're not gonna have any fun. So I think it's real important that you surround yourself with great people. That's what I would say. And when I move over, I think that young folk have a great perspective of the game, and I think it's just important for them to continue to surround themselves with good people and listen to some of your elders because they got some great things that they can share with you.
CJ, can you leave before you get that ring?
Well, it's interesting. Saul told me you was gonna ask me something.
Yeah.
My favorite thing I'll say, it took Dean years to get one. It took Coach K had to go 4 years to the Final Four. John Thompson took him 23 years to get one. I mean, I think a lot of it's lucky. My 4 years, I ran into 3 great Greensboro teams and an excellent Vance team. To lose by those cats, I can't go wrong. I mean, we played some great basketball. I mean, we played some monsters to get there, and then once you get to the Final Four, of course you would love to have one, but you did a lot of it's luck, but a lot of it's being at the right place at the right time.
What do you want to be remembered for the most?
I would say just a guy that enjoys the game, a guy that likes to be around young people, a guy that likes to see young folk be successful, and a guy that was fair. That would be my big thing.
All right. You know this young lady beside you?
Very well. It's interesting. See, Richmond put me in a difficult situation because he said to name 5 of the best teams that I've ever seen in 15 years. But Harden has some teams in the day.
They went back to back.
Also, your frat brother Marcus Talley had one of the best girl records for years.
He did.
And he was the only one that ever beat McDowell beside Andrea Stinson that I know of. Because once you went to the mountains, that was a difficult situation.
I got him, CJ.
Oh, you got him? Okay.
I got him to go to the state.
McDowell to basketball, the women's basketballs at Richmond County, the Mecklenburg County footballs is where dreams went to die.
Right, exactly. Well,
you just did not win up there. All right, well, Coach Ben, I want to thank you for coming on, man. Enjoy the conversation. We got to get you back on during the season.
Well, I appreciate that. And thanks for the opportunity and all the best to all you guys.
All right, man. Take care.
All right, take it easy.
Well, Langston, I see you brought up a new face.
Yeah.
Miss Myicha Drakeford.
Yeah.
I know her.
And, we had Kinsey doing football season, so we thought we'd have another intern doing basketball season. Myicha had reached out to me saying she wanted to be involved, and I was like, yeah, sure. And just to talk about her a little bit, she played high school basketball. Her sister is one of the 2 best basketball players ever from Charlotte. It's either Stinson or Kanika. I don't know which one, but it's one of the 2. But I'm gonna let you guys talk a little bit. We're gonna call the segment one-on-one with Myicha, and we're gonna see what you got going.
Okay.
All right.
Whoops, wrong button.
Hey, Micah, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Coach Richardson?
Now he talked about your oldest sister, but
You didn't talk about Boo.
I coached Boo, and people always ask me who is the best you ever coached, and I was like, I had the most dominant player ever. This is Shanika Drayford. So people know Kanika. I coached Shanika, and your sister is the all-time leading scorer at Vance High School.
And rebounder too, right?
Huh?
And rebounder too, right?
And rebounder. And,
Yep.
and when we were at practice, especially during the holidays and the teacher work days, who was running around chasing the ball and getting in the way?
Me. I always wanted to be involved.
Always being involved. So
Yes.
you get your skills and your talent, honestly, and you were trained by a great teacher and your dad's late Drayford, God rest his soul. But he trained all three of you, and you all turned out to be great basketball players. And now you're getting into, I guess, a little sports journalism. So what do you have for us on this first segment?
So I got to interview Reigan Richardson from Cannon School, and that was really interesting because it was like my first time doing face-to-face interviewing. And just hearing her story, how she started in 5th grade and then receiving her first scholarship offer in 8th grade, it was just amazing to see. And seeing that she's ranked number 34 on ESPN, it was like, wow, I really enjoy this. And just seeing her hard work and her dedication just made me feel like this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Okay, so let's take a look at it.
Hey everybody, this is Myicha Drakeford here with Reigan Richardson, the 5'11" guard from Cannon School. What's up, Reigan? How you doing?
What's up? I'm great. How are you?
Tell us, in the watchers, how all this came about. How did your basketball career start?
Well, before I started playing basketball, I played soccer. Well, I played any other sport you could think of, really. And just one day, my friend wanted me to play basketball with her. And that's just kind of where my love for basketball kind of started. It started all in the little church league.
What are you most excited for this upcoming season?
I'm just competing, showing everybody what I'm capable of.
And are you a superstitious player? You know how some players have a whole routine and their pregame and everything. I know I was superstitious when I was playing. So are you a superstitious player? And what is your routine?
Sometimes. I always get a little pregame nap. That's always my pregame routine.
The naps are essential.
For sure, for sure.
All right. And the last question, who is your favorite NBA and WNBA player and why?
My favorite NBA player is Kevin Durant. His game is just versatile. He can do anything from posting up and shooting behind the arc. And that's what I love about his game. And my favorite WNBA player is Candace Parker. You know, I've been compared to her growing up. So I really took that into consideration. I've been watching her taking in some of what she does on the court and kind of implementing it in my game.
And there we have it, y'all. This is Reigan Richardson, UGA. Good luck this season. I'll be watching, and go Bulldogs.
Go Bulldogs.
Have a good one.
Dang, great kids, got some competition.
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna have the full version of that video on our website, Twitter, Facebook, all that stuff at 10 o'clock on Monday nights. Everybody tune in to check that out. And Mike, we're gonna have you back next week. And you got who's next week? It's the kid from Carmel Christian, right?
Yes, it's
Okay.
Trey and what's his name?
Trey Benham from
Jen?
Concord First Assembly and Ben Burnham
Yes.
from Carmel Christian. We'll have one next week and maybe the following week. But thanks a lot for coming on. You can catch it at Mass Sports Talk. We're going to have one every week. You're the new Miss Kinsey. Looking forward to seeing what you do.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Great job, Michael.
Hey, Langston.
Yes.
Hey, Langston. How
Yes.
did it feel when you heard Reigan talk about who her favorite NBA player was? How did that make you feel?
Me?
Yeah, you.
I was fine with it. Why?
Oh, okay. I was just checking. You know.
What was I supposed to say?
Hey, some people hurt, not hurt. Some people just need to remember who the best player in the world is.
Candace Parker is the GOAT. I'm not arguing with that.
Oh, no, I didn't say WNBA. I said NBA, sir.
Oh, that's incorrect. That's her favorite player. That's not the best player.
About.
That's her favorite player.
Oh, okay.
The best player in the NBA is 23 in LA. We know that.
Okay.
Michael, thank you very much for coming on. Me and Randall, that's another argument me and Randall have all the time. Like in 23, as he calls him. But Gary, I'll bring you back in a little bit, man.
Okay, then.
All right, it's time for the watch list. I had my music loaded up for you guys, but then I didn't load it into the system, so I can't play it. But we're going to talk about Christy's group first. Every week, we're going to break down your top players as we get down to kind of the high school Heisman of basketball. It was really cool in football. The kids got into it. And so we're going to do it for the girls. And Christy, here is the list you gave me, and you can talk about it a little bit.
Okay, so in alphabetical order, we're going to go first with Mallory Haynes, who is a senior from Davidson Day. She averaged 26 points, 8 rebounds, 4 steals last season, and she is currently ranked number 96 by ESPN in the country. Then we have my second one is Tiani Key from Cary. She's a 6'3" senior. She signed with Carolina. Averaged 20 points, 13 rebounds last season, and she's also ranked by ESPN at number 9.
Now, was she the state player of the year last year? Am I wrong?
I don't remember who the state player of the year was last year.
Okay. I may be wrong, but go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you. Go ahead. You got your
floor. And then ranked number 34 by ESPN is Reigan Richardson. We just had an opportunity to see her on video. 2021 from Cannon School, a 6 foot. Signed with Georgia. She averaged 23 points, 8 rebounds, 3 steals last season. Next, number 3 in the country, Sanaya Rivers from Ashley High School.
That's the one. I'm sorry. That was the player there. She was Gatorade.
Ashley High School, 6'1", senior, signed with University of South Carolina. Averaged 25 points, 12 rebounds, 6 steals, 4 assists. Big time. Yeah. And then last, we have Jessica Timmons from Independence, 5'9", senior, signed with NC State. Averaged 25 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 steals last season. So that's my first 5 to start with. And I don't know how many we can add per week, but I know that the list could go on and on because there's a lot of.
I'm going to start putting in some type of order. Randall, what do you think about this list to start out with?
I think it's a great list to start off with. I think you get a little bit of everything with all those players, and they're all kind of unique. I think Mallory Haynes is the one that kind of jumps off to me just because I think she had an outstanding year. And depending on who you talk to, probably didn't get mentioned enough last year. So I'm expecting another big season for Miss Haynes up there in the Davidson Day area.
I'm a big Mallory Haynes fan. I don't know if you tried to throw a little shade at me, but I'm a big Mallory Haynes.
No, not at all. But,
she's definitely one of the best shooters I've ever seen.
No, she can shoot the lights out of it. Obviously, Reigan does a little bit of everything. I just always have enjoyed watching her play.
Yeah.
Jessica Timmons, she fills it up on the offense end easily. But the fun part about this is there are going to be some other ladies who are going to join them on this list.
Yeah.
And I think when we start getting into the season, it's going to be hard to figure out who those people on that list are going to be from week to week.
All right. Well, Coach Mitchell, we're going to bring you back in just a second, but thanks for your list.
Okay.
All right. Coach Lewis, you have like a bunch of lists. We're gonna start out with your 5 player of the year watch list right here. Here we go.
Okay, my 5 start with you got to have Mikey Williams and also Robert Dillingham, 2 of the most exciting players in the country in the in their particular class, and they're going to probably be 1 and 2 in the rankings for their particular class in North Carolina. I think the thing that's going to separate Robert Dillingham from everybody else is how much better he makes the combine team. And they have a brutal schedule. And I mentioned earlier, coming December the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, they're going to go up against Liberty Heights, which is absolutely loaded. They got Jonas Adu, Elijah Jameson. That is going to be a marquee matchup. And the next night, they're going to go up against the Burlington School. And then the next night, they're going to go up against Bull City Prep. So 3 quality games right before Christmas. So Mikey and Robert Dillingham are at the top of the list. The other 3 guys are guys that I think that can lead their team to a state championship. The first guy is a UNC commit, Dante Strauss from Kinston. They finished 26-4 last year. They lost in the Eastern Regional semifinals. Every year, Kinston is in the hunt for a title. I think if they have a chance to win a state championship, I think Dantes will be in the mix for Player of the Year. My other one is another guy that's going to Carolina, DeMarco Dunn. He led Westover to a 30-0 season last year. We first saw DeMarco at the junior year. We had our preseason jamboree, and we were able to see him in one of the back gyms and got a lot of video on him. We thought he was going to be really good. I didn't know whether he was going to be UNC good at the time for the first viewing, but he's really, really special. So, they went to the state championship, went 30-0. I would say they have a chance to repeat at the 3A level. The other person I have is Bobby Pettiford from South Granville. They went 30-0. They played in the Eastern Regional Championship. They lost. They went 30-1, and I think Bobby Pettiford, who's going to Louisville, also has a chance to be in the mix to win the state championship for South Granville and also be Player of the Year.
Randall, your thoughts about that 5?
I think that 5 is a really good one. I think what you notice about that list is not only are there really good players, but those players, their teams win. And I think something that has to mean something. I think winning ball games has to mean something. I do agree with Coach Lewis, though. Robert Dillingham separates himself because of just how he makes the other people around him better. And obviously, when you talk about combine and the teams that they play night in and night out, they're getting a lot of people's best shots, and Jeff always has those guys ready to go.
Everybody's Super Bowl. All right, so Rick has 2 more lists. First, we have his dark horse list. All right, here's the dark horse.
There's my big fella. I was gonna say we were gonna.
There's the dark horse. Rick, tell us a little bit about Ben Burnham, Jeremy Gregory, and Jamari Thomas.
Well, again, in order to be Player of the Year, you have to be in a situation where you lead your team to a championship. Last year, the Burlington School lost in its state championship. This year, they added Jamari Thomas to the mix. If you've seen him play, just imagine watching the toughness of an Allen Iverson on the court. He's a 6-foot guard, sub-6-foot guard who plays above the rim, unbelievable body control, but he plays with the biggest chip on his shoulder. He is just a dog on the court, both on the offensive and the defensive end of the court. He's had very little interest from Division I schools. Expect that to change, and I would say within the next week, you'll start seeing him getting mid-major offers. But I think for the 2A and the NCISAA, Jamari Thomas is going to lead the Burlington School to a state championship. Next, Jeremy Gregory.
That's Randall's guy.
North Neck won the state championship last year. They're loaded again this year. They have the complete package. They have the guard. They have the glue guy and Chris Ford. But the guy who I think, in my opinion, is the difference maker is Jeremy Gregory. This young man is going to average 20 points a game this year, 15-plus rebounds. And the great thing about Jeremy, he has a great touch. He's going to get fouled, and he's going to go to the free throw line. At our fall league, in the Hoop State Fall League, this young man was putting up 35, 40 points every single game and putting up 15 to 20 rebounds every single game.
Is Jeremy Gregory Kennedy Meeks 2 inches shorter?
Yes.
But here's the thing, Langston.
Soft hands, great outlet, all that.
Jeremy Gregory has a 7'2" wingspan.
Yes, he does.
He's bigger than his listed height.
Yes, he does. All right, so Rick's final list, we can't go through all of these, but his final list is fresh faces.
Well, wait,
Brandon White, the big man, and Winston-Salem Christian.
we left out one though.
Who do I leave out?
I left
Mr. Burnham.
Ben Burnham.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go back to Ben Burnham. I'm sorry.
Okay. Talk about a steal. Winthrop got a steal in Ben Burnham. He's 6'8". He's another guy that is a production guy. I think Carmel Christian has an opportunity to win the 4A in the NCISA this year. They got a great nucleus. They got the glue guys. They just got a really good complement of players. And if you look at his stat line, again, Ben Burnham is going to probably average 20 points a game, 15 rebounds, 5 to 7 block shots. In one of the games down in the Thanksgiving event down in Atlanta, he had a 20-point game, 20 rebound, and 7 block shots in one game.
All right, so now we're going to go to the fresh faces. This is the longer list. Brandon White, the big man of Winston-Salem Christian. Bishop Boswell, I want you to talk a little bit about the freshman in South Meck. Mario Hansen, whose dad was a star at Garinger. Mario Hansen Sr. is actually an assistant coach at Garinger. Jamari Thomas, who we talked about. Trey Benham, left-handed assassin from Concord Academy. Mike is going to feature him in a couple of weeks. Jacine Felton, who could be a top #1 player potentially in this class in Westminster Catawba. Aiden Holloway has the best nickname in sports, Biscuit, Bizkit. Chance Morrow, A.L. Brown is transferring from West Charlotte. Josh Smith, I've not seen him from Word of God. And Wesley Tubbs, who I call the plastic man, he's so long, 6'6", for Northside Christian. But tell me a little bit about Bishop Boswell, because I've heard a lot about him, not seen him play.
Just imagine watching Jalen Hood Shafino. That is the best comparison that I saw him this summer for his travel ball team, and he's 6'3", 6'4". He's very strong, has a good frame to him. The thing that really was impressive about him is how poised and how mature he is for his age. He can shoot it from all 3 levels. He has a great looking stroke, great form, great follow through, but he's also a point guard. He's not the defender that a Jalen Hood Shafino is at the same age, but he has some other things that he's more advanced offensively than Jalen Hood Shafino. But when it's all said and done, Bishop Boswell is going to be in the conversation as one of the better players in the 2024 class in North Carolina.
Man, if the guru says that and you're a freshman, you must be able to play. Go ahead, Randall. I see you ready to say something. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Bishop Boswell. He's a great kid, and everything Coach Rick said is absolutely correct. And I'll tell you this: there's a 6'5" player at Myers Park named Sir Muhammad. He will make that list before this is all said and done. I can guarantee you that.
Okay. I haven't seen him yet, so
you will.
All right.
Patrick raves about him.
So now we're going to our girls basketball segment. We're going to send Coach back. Don't need all the mints in the back room, Coach Lewis. We'll be back.
Okay.
We're going to go to our In the Zone segment, and I think I did download the music for this one. And Gary, I'm going to let you take it. Whoops. I'm sorry.
Are you checking your fantasy stats? Well, coaches, public school practice starts this week. Do you think things are normal, behind schedule, ahead of schedule? What's your thinking on the start of public school basketball season? Alex, you go first.
If we're not ahead of schedule, then something is wrong. And here's what I mean by that. We talk all the time in education about infusing technology in teaching and learning, transcending traditional classrooms. Well, this is where the rubber meets the road right here. And if we're not ahead of the game in that regard, then it's only individual teams, coaches, players' fault. We talk about student athletes coming in condition, ready to play. We've had plenty of time in quarantine to make sure that you're in season condition, ready to go. So if we're not ahead of the game in that regard, it's everybody's fault. And we talk about doing what we can to ensure that we stay healthy, as far as mask up, all that other good stuff, making sure that we're in peak physical condition, mentally, physically, and otherwise, that we're taking care of our academic responsibilities, that we're good citizens and good people, and we're in line on those things. And if we're not ahead in the game in that regard, then it's everybody's fault. So I have no sympathy whatsoever. We should be ahead.
Christy, what's your thinking?
I kind of agree with Alex, but I have a different, as a high school coach, I have a little different view on that. AAU pretty much did not stop until like last week, and some teams are still going. So when we started workouts, when we were finally able to start workouts, you know, my kids would be missing my practices because they had a game that weekend. And so they were missing a lot of what their high school was doing. And normally there's a hard stop. Come July 31st, those AAU teams are done, and you are back with your high school teams, and you are 100% mine until February or March. And that didn't happen this year. Since high school couldn't get with our kids since March, we couldn't get with our kids this summer. So there was no team camps. There was nothing going on in the summer for workouts. So when we finally got the okay from the state and CMS to come back into the gym, you know, I might have 5 or 6 kids in practice one day, and I'm like, where's everybody else? Well, this kid's got a tournament this weekend. This person has practice. They have to go to their practice because they're still playing games. So in a sense, I think individually the kids are prepared. I think they've played enough games. They've had enough practices with their AAU teams or their travel ball teams that they've gotten better over COVID. They've been with their trainers like Randall. They've been in their backyards. They've been doing their thing since March. So I think individually, I think the kids are ready. And now when you look at teams, I am not prepared as I normally am from this time of the year. This time of the year, I've already had, you know, probably 2 months worth of preseason workouts with my girls. And also because we have one gym, volleyball's in season. You have, you know, a girls team, a boys team, and a volleyball team. You have 3 teams trying to practice in one gym. So we're not practicing every day. So that's also been an issue where preseason before, you know, we would be able to work it out where we were all getting, you know, 4 or 5 practices a week. And so this season's been a little bit different. So I agree with Alex as far as individual, but as far as the teams are concerned, as far as my team is concerned, I feel like we're a little bit behind schedule.
Randall, what's your thoughts?
I don't think there's a coach in this state that would say that they were ahead of schedule from a coach's standpoint. I mean, you got to think about all the stuff that you would have in right now, offensively, defensively, when you talk about end of game situation. And it's going to be tight because literally you have a month. So you have to sit down and think about what's going to be important. What do you have to get in, you know, pretty much this week so that when the ball goes up in the air in January, you know, your team is ready to go.
Well, are teams or schools still doing tryouts, or are they just taking whoever shows up and say, hey, you're on the team? Anybody? Christy?
I think that's going to depend. I mean, as far as looking at South Mech, you have South Mech boys who have 4 different pods going, and they probably have, you know, 50 or so kids that are wanting to try out. They probably have more than that. So they're going to have some type of tryout for the boys side. On the girls side, our numbers are down a little bit. I've got several kids that said, I'm not playing this year, coach, because my parents don't want me to back in this environment until COVID is under control. So I think it's just different boys and girls, school by school. I think it's just, I think everybody's going to have a tryout, but, you know, some may be a 1-day tryout while others need a 3-day tryout.
And to that point, Gary, I mean, that's just another thing that's gonna that time just starts to dwindle away when you talk about if you have to have a tryout to figure out, you know, who's going to be on your team.
Let me add in on that as well. This is a situation right here where we need to, obviously, for safety considerations, you want to you think of the pod concept that Coach Mitchell just mentioned, that obviously we want to look at our team as a pod unto itself. And you want that to be as small, as isolated, as contained as is possible. It won't be perfect, never has been, never will be, but you want it to be as small, as isolated, as contained as possible. And this goes back to the comments I made on the last question right here. This will be an ideal situation. I think we're all about optimizing participation of student athletes, but this is a different circumstance. We cannot act like COVID doesn't make a difference in these things right here. So it's an opportunity to heighten what I consider to be an optimal situation. Back in the day with these best teams that we talked about, you probably only had 12 kids try out for the team. But those were the 12 that you wanted. And what that does is that underscores the commitment that those kids have to achieving excellence at the highest level. And it makes it easier for the coaches to do their job. I don't need 50 kids in there if you're not going to be committed to excellence at the highest level. There's no point whatsoever having a bunch of people in there thinking they're going to play for Gary Richmond if they're not going to commit to excellence at the highest level. Get out the gym. I mean, and that's not patronizing. That's just acknowledging the commitment level that's expected to play for these coaches right here. And if you're not going to do it, don't show up.
Well, you mentioned extraordinary times. And one of the things that's always been, and I know Langston put this in here, why he's always been one of his pet peeves, but a lot of coaches as well, is playing 4 games at one site. You know, you play the JV girls games, then you play the JV boys, the varsity girls, varsity boys. And if you have an overtime in any of those games, you know, you're not getting out of that gym until 11 p.m. on a school night. Is this the time to change the format where you play girls at one site on one day and boys at another site on a different day? Kind of like we do in the conference tournaments where you go girls Monday, boys Tuesday, girls Wednesday, boys Thursday, and then the championships on Friday. Do you think this is a good time to try a different format of scheduling games? And I always ask athletic directors, why are we playing 4 games in one day? You know, and these kids, especially if you're the road team and you got to get on the bus, so you got to wait on the boys game to end, and the girls and the boys are traveling together, and you got to get back home, back to the school, and then they got to wait on their parents to pick them up. And, you know, there's after 11 o'clock before they get home on a school night. Do you think this is the time to change this format? Athletic directors always said it's the principals. They don't want to be out every night. So they'll take their one night a week, like it's punishment or something, where, you know, I know we're going to have 4 games on Tuesday, but at least I have Friday off, you know. What are your thoughts on that? Christy, you go first.
I think that Langston has definitely, this has been one of his hot topics over the last as many years as I can remember. Playing a game on a Tuesday night and the visiting team not getting home until 11 or 12 o'clock at night and got to get up for school the next day. I think Langston's going to get his wish this year because it is proposed already with CMS to have opposite sites, and not a girls boys opposite site, but a varsity and JV opposite site. So varsity will play at home, and whatever team we're playing, if we're playing, let's say that we play Providence on Tuesday night, varsity will play at home and JV will play at Providence. And then the next time around, then it'll switch. So, you know, I think that it's going to make things a lot different. I mean, you're already limiting 25 people per fan, you know, per gym. But what I'm hearing, the way it's going to happen is it's going to be, you know, the girls fans come in, you get 25 home tickets, and only your home team parents can buy tickets. So our parents aren't going to be able to go to away games. So every school in CMS is supposed to have cameras installed and will be live streamed. So the parent will be able to watch the game on a live stream. I'm not sure when that's going to get up and running, but, you know, I think that it's definitely going to make things different. And for me, having a son potentially on JV and also a son potentially on varsity, then it's, you know, I'm never going to be able to see my JV, my freshman play basketball. So I won't be able to see a single game of his this year. And of course that makes me sad as a parent. But it's going to be definitely different.
Randall, your thoughts?
Everything that Coach Mitchell said is spot on. I think that it's a perfect year to make that rule change, just because you can only have 25 fans in there. So you're not worried about packing the gym out, because you get to go watch your kid play, and then you got to leave for home games. I think it would be good. Kids will get out of there on time and get home at a reasonable hour, which I think is most important.
Alex?
I want to echo what Randall and Christy both said. Great points all the way around. And I can speak to this having been an athletics administrator at the 4A level and having been a journalist and seeing this from multiple perspectives. I think the most important thing to keep in mind in making these decisions, and first and foremost, I empathize completely with what Coach Mitchell said about not being able to see one of her sons play. I empathize with that totally. That's terrible. In making these decisions, though, at the school level, making this transition to opposite sites with the varsity teams playing together, I am a huge proponent of that. And the reason I'm a proponent of that is because I think we all can agree that for too many years, if not decades, that women's basketball has gotten the short end of this deal right here. That our exemplary women's basketball student athletes are just as much program torchbearers as their male counterparts at the school. And our women's basketball student athletes traditionally do exceptional jobs perennially in being torchbearers for the optimized integration of academic and athletic excellence in their schools, as we've seen throughout the years in championship teams that have come out of Charlotte Mecklenburg schools. You can look at a situation back in 2003. People often fail to remember that the Vance girls and boys played for state championships that year. It would have been, I mean, to think that we were in a situation where if I was going to go to a Vance game, I mean, just as excited as I might have been to see Ray, Fales, Hennett, the other guys who played on that team. I mean, I had the opportunity to see Holmes, Metzger, et cetera, in the same gym on that same night. I should be able to do that. Those young ladies are just as much torchbearers for their programs and their schools and their sports as their male counterparts. So making this adjustment right now, while induced by COVID, and while it does have the unfortunate impact of Coach Mitchell's situation and not being able to watch one of her sons play, still is a very, very good thing that needs to happen.
Okay. Now, how do you think having 25 fans at a game will affect the game itself? A lot of schools, for example, at North Mecklenburg, they have a rabid fan base and one of the smallest gyms in CMS. And if you want to get into a North Meck game, especially on a Friday, and they're playing against one of their rivals, Huff, Vance, Hopewell, you got to get at North Meck for the girls' JV game to get a seat. So now we got 25 fans, and they're going to be mostly parents, very few students. How do you think this affects the game itself? Randall, you go first this time.
I think as a coach and thinking about it, it'll be interesting to see if people change their play calls, because obviously in conference, I'm going to see you again. So now it's going to be blatantly clear what you're calling, what you're doing. As a coach, I mean, when I get that film, I'm going to be able to have everything written down. And so I think that's the interesting part. It kind of becomes this cat and mouse game of, all right, we played this team one time around. Now the second time around, do we switch everything out, or do we call it different stuff? Like, how do you make that adjustment? And, it's one of those things in coaching that I'm sure, things start to mess with, especially then when you get to a conference tournament. And if you talk about seeing a team 3 times, now it's like if you beat them twice, now it's really like, oh my gosh, they're really going to know. It's like, what do we need to change? And sometimes you get into those situations and overcoach. But I think that's the most interesting part for me is like, what are you going to do as a coach? Like, are you just going to say, this is our philosophy, this is what we're going to do, and if they know what our play call is, we still have to execute it? well enough to where we still finish and they can't stop it? Or are you going to, add a couple wrinkles and change the name of some stuff so they can't really pick up on it, at least early on in the game?
Christy?
A lot of times your student section and your parents cheering and the cheerleaders are your sixth man. I mean, the atmosphere of a game can really help a team push through and, keep going. I've been into some games before where, there were some pretty intimidating gyms that we walked into. Last year, we played Providence at their place, and it seemed like they had 500 students in the student section. And it was loud and intimidating, and we couldn't hear anything that our fans were saying. You still got to play basketball regardless. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because, so you can't go to away games. So you're going to have 25 parents or 25 people able to purchase a ticket to a home game. The home team will have their cheerleaders and they will have their fans. The visiting team will not have cheerleaders nor fans. So the only people that are going to be clapping for you is going to be
Your bench.
Hopefully your bench is going to be really loud, and hopefully your boys basketball team is going to be sitting in the gym behind your bench cheering you on during the game as well. And then after the girls' game is over, they're going to clear the gym, and those 25 people have to leave. And a different 25 people can purchase a ticket to come in for the boys' game. So I think that's one thing that's going to definitely be a little bit different is, the bench is going to have to get up and going to have to motivate your team and be loud and clap and cheer and, keep your team moving and going because you're not going to have any fans at away games.
Alex, what are your thoughts on game?
I want to echo what Coach Mitchell said. Sooner or later, you just got to play basketball here, and let's just get on with it. And let's do what we know how to do, and we've done so well, as seen by the excellence represented here on this panel and the student athletes and teams that have been associated with the people on this panel. Let's play basketball at some point. As far as the noise and the atmosphere, Gary mentioned North Mecklenburg's Matchbox Gym. Let's just acknowledge for the record that even when that Matchbox gym was filled, you still could hear Leroy Holden and Dwayne Lewis. So I don't think that really matters in terms of having an empty gym. You could hear him with the full gym. You could hear him you could hear him with 25 people around. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is the thing. This whole notion is people trying to create an unnecessary distraction. Let's lace them up and let's play basketball. If we go to practice and we listen to our coaches and we learn well the fundamentals, the teamwork that our coaches teach and do such a good job of doing, and we come and implement it in the game, then you can put 0 people in the gym. This is people trying to create a distraction. This is people trying to act like, oh, we need music to get pumped up. Last time I checked, music hadn't done anything to cultivate skills in any of these players. Either you can play or you can't play, and you need to bring it on game day, whether anyone's watching or not. And if you're not going to bring it on game day, get off my team.
Okay. Old school, man. He needs his own section called old school right here.
That's how you really
Hey, I got one more question, and I'm kind of comparing this to football. We had a lot of major D1 football commitments that opted out when they said, when the state of North Carolina said, hey, we're going to put football off to the spring. A lot of the top players in the state said, well, I'm done. I'm headed off to my university in the spring, so I won't be playing any more high school athletics. Why hasn't this happened in basketball?
Very simple. Because basketball student athletes' parents have stepped up and taken responsibility for this situation. This is a decision that could not have been made by any student athletes whatsoever had the parents not gone along with it. Now,
You don't think basketball having smaller numbers might have something to do with it, though? There's only 13, 14 kids versus 50?
No, doesn't have a thing to do with it. Why in the world are you going to create a situation? You're going to send your child off to a college campus that's had its own COVID issues. You're going to take them out of that situation in your home where you somewhat can control it a little bit more to send them off early onto a college campus, which have been proven to be COVID hotspots right now, all to get ahead, whatever that means. That's a parent decision right there. This has nothing to do with sports. And if parents are going to let sports run the show like that, then so be it. This comes down to parenting right here.
Christy and Jason, you guys mentioned CMS. Is it going to be varsity and JV at the same site or different sites?
At different sites. So it'll be if we're playing at home, then JV's playing away, but the same opponent.
Yeah, I think, the private schools have been doing the streaming thing, and they've actually gotten some of the students to do play-by-play, so it's been kind of cool. I don't know if that's something the public schools can do, but it kind of gives a kid a little experience. It might be interested in that. And for the parents at home, it gives you a little bit more of an experience. I mean, I'm a parent, and I'm watching the games as well, so I think it's been pretty cool. Last week, our most popular segment was One's Got to Go with Alex. So now we're going to see if we can stay number one with One's Got to Go. And me and Gary are going to go and let you guys have fun.
Now,
Welcome once again. And as we always know, sooner or later, as good as things might be, one's got to go. So here we go this week, once again with another round. We'll just go around here. Disney Plus, Netflix, HBO Max. Randall, what you got? What's got to go?
Well, Disney Plus, Home Alone just came on Disney Plus this weekend, so that's definitely staying. Netflix, I need my comic relief, so I'm a stand-up comedy guy, so Netflix is staying. I haven't even got to open HBO Max yet, so that's the easy one because I haven't watched anything on HBO Max since it's new. So for me, HBO Max gotta go.
Christy, what you got?
For me, it's going to be Disney Plus. I mean, Randall has small little girls, so I'm sure he watches Disney a whole lot at home. But my boys, being a lot older, we don't watch too much Disney in my house, so it would definitely be Disney Plus.
Jason.
I'm just proud of Randall. He finally got one right, man. That's good. That's good work, man. Hey, bottom line is you got hours and hours on the Avengers, first of all. So here you go.
Right,
Plus
exactly,
Home Alone.
exactly.
Avengers you can watch all day long. You got to stay there. And plus you got, for Star Wars fans, you got your Star Wars. Netflix, like you said, you got your you got changing and revolving shows in and out of there. HBO Max, see you. You got to go.
And I'll just chime in quickly and say Coach Mitchell's on point pretty much always. But HBO Max is just a little too new right now. I mean, we still got to see. It just came around, so it hadn't quite gotten into the mainstream yet. So this is about the only time I disagree with Coach Mitchell. She's usually on point. But HBO Max for now is so new. But we'll see. All right. Next up, are we going to forgo the opportunity to stick a fork in the potato? Or are we going to make sure that people can't eat out of the silver spoon with which they're born? Fork or spoon? Who's going?
I got you. That's easy. Man, it's got to be the spoon. You got to keep the spoon. I'm sorry, your fork's got to go. You can't eat soup with a fork. I can use enough pressure on the spoon to do what a fork can do. So, man, see a fork unless I can get a spork.
Listen. Nobody's eating banana pudding off a fork. Absolutely, the fork has to go. Me and Coach Grube on the same page today. I feel so excited. Get the fork out of there. You know.
No, I disagree again.
Oh my gosh!
I'm going to say that the fork has to go. I'm sorry, the spoon has. No, hold on. I see both of them. I want a spork. I want a spork with Jason. So I'm going to say the spoon has to go because I can pick up my bowl of soup and I can drink it. And I think that I can do more with a fork than I can with a spoon. So I'm going to disagree with you guys and say that the spoon's got to go.
Wait a minute. The spoon's going to go. I thought Coach Mitchell was going to give us that motherly wisdom with the place setting being where it is, and we need the fork in the right place. But I'm kind of stunned here. I mean, like I said, I don't ever disagree with what Coach Mitchell says.
Two in a row. It's 2 in a row, isn't it?
It's 2 in a row.
Go ahead.
I don't know what's happening here. Maybe I should have. Maybe it's just a testament I need to keep using my fork, particularly with Thanksgiving dinner and otherwise. But I would think, yeah, the fork's got to go. I don't know, but I've disagreed twice in the same. Wow. But
You can drink your soup from a cup.
You can't get the leftovers with the fork.
Coach Mitchell, I cannot. Like I said, I can't eat banana pudding with a fork.
You can.
No, I can't.
If
Physically,
it's
but not
right,
mentally.
you can.
He can't mentally.
There you go, Coach Grube. Physically, but not mentally. Exactly.
all right, next up. So we're a week away from practice starting here. So we can actually get on the hardwood and deal with things that are meaningful for actually being on the hardwood and practicing game situations. But one has got to go. So you giving up your coach's whistle, your clipboard, or one of your timeouts? Randall, what you got?
My clipboard's probably going because one or two things are going to happen. Either I'm going to forget it anyway, or I'm going to get so frustrated with my team, I'm going to break it. So one of the two is probably bound to happen. So I'll just go ahead and eliminate it and save myself some of this trouble there.
I got to have the clipboard. I got to have the whistle. I can go without a timeout. I mean, that sometimes, I'll play Roy Williams. You got to let the players figure it out. So I can go down to 4 timeouts, 2 30s and 2 fulls. I'm good to go. But I got to have the clipboard in the game situations. You gotta draw this up for these cats to see where they need to be going.
Coach, we actually have to carry an extra clipboard, and now my assistant coach is actually in charge of the clipboard so that I don't forget it, or if I do happen to accidentally break a clipboard, we have another one just in case.
Oh, yeah, we always have a couple. They've been known to break or get slammed on a chair a few times.
Yeah.
Coach Mitchell.
I'm going to have to go with the clipboard, mainly because I don't want to give up my timeouts, and I definitely don't want to give up my whistle. And I have in situations like Randall where you forget your clipboard, your dry erase marker draws on hardwood courts just as well in your timeout, and it comes off the floor really easily as well. So I've definitely had to use the court a couple times for my clipboard.
See, that's one I never used. I never heard that one before. That's new to me. I'm gonna have to try that one.
Hey, it wipes right off.
There you go.
Well, as far as I'm concerned, the clipboard can go. Here's why. Not that I don't like the clipboard, but in a worst case scenario, and Coach Grube called this earlier. He said I'm old school, and I am in a lot of ways, but I can go old school too. Just like one of my dear friends who actually has a UNC connection and has some coaching history with Coach Grube. My good friend David Neal, who was the coach at Apex High School, and he was the coach of that Apex team that East Mecklenburg defeated for the 2008 state championship. Now, the many times I've watched Coach Neal in practice through the years, now he can go old school, forget the clipboard. He's got his pen and paper in his pocket with his practice plan on it, scripted out to a T, detailed out. Just give me the pen and paper if worst case comes to it. I mean, that's one of the old school tactics I learned from David Neal, who has Carolina lineage, as we all know as well. So I can find a way around the clipboard if need be. But great memories there, and to see those two coaches go at it was really, really special in 2008. But I'll give up the clipboard. All right, and the last one here today. So we just came out of a great Thanksgiving week. Sure, there were plenty of condiments on the table here. One of them's got to go. We're getting rid of mayo, and I don't mean OJ mayo, ketchup, or barbecue sauce. What's going? Chris, you want to start us off?
That's a tough one.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
I'm not thinking of the actual condiment. I'm thinking about the things that you make with the condiment.
That's right.
I would say
That's right.
mayonnaise is gone.
That's right.
But then you couldn't have chicken salad.
That's-
And then, so that's kind of tough. So I'm going to have to say, ketchup.
Oh,
Because I dip my French fries in ranch. I don't use ketchup.
There you
So
go.
Jason.
barbecue sauce got to go. Now, look, I'm not a fan of mayo, but you can't make potato salad without mayo. You can make barbecue sauce with ketchup. I can make my own homemade, with ketchup. You just got to put it in a crock pot and add some brown sugar. You got your barbecue sauce. So I gotta say, buy barbecue sauce. I'm keep my mayo. Again, not a big fan of it, but I'm a fan of it. Potato salad, macaroni salad, and chicken salad. So,
Coach Grube, you were doing so well today. We were on a roll, and you just had to ruin it right there. Not a chance. Ketchup has to go. You can't meatloaf with ketchup. Meatloaf with ketchup? No. You gotta make the meatloaf with the barbecue sauce.
there you go, Randall. Now we're seeing it right now.
Factor. I don't use ketchup for my fries. If I don't eat them plain, I'm dipping them in ranch, like Coach Mitchell said. Ketchup has to go.
Coach Grube, sorry for you, man. But there is redemption here. As like I said, I agree with Coach Mitchell once again. I agree with Randall. The ketchup has to go because of what can be done with mayonnaise. And yeah, I'm one of those people. I can't imagine my asparagus without hollandaise. So, I mean, I know that's good eating, but I want my grilled asparagus with hollandaise. I need the mayonnaise. Some of your best macaroni and cheese recipes include mayonnaise. Obviously, chicken salad, ham and turkey salad. You need the mayonnaise for that. Slaw, potato salad, macaroni salad has been said. I mean, we need the mayonnaise
a lot of
for
those
that.
dipping sauces that you like have mayonnaise in them. It's like, but they're made with ketchup and mayonnaise a lot of times.
thank you. You can make them all those sauces you talked about with mayo and
You can
ketchup.
almost do a barbecue sauce with a little ketchup, mayonnaise, a little brown sugar. You can
make it. Thank you.
make it. Coach Lewis,
Thank you for bringing the voices of reason
Which
in
one you
here.
getting rid of, Coach Lewis? You got ketchup, mayonnaise, barbecue sauce. You're the elder station. Which one you getting rid of?
Mayo.
Why mayo?
Oh, my gosh, Coach Grube.
I gotta watch my diet and my figure at this age.
Gotta watch your figure. Gotta watch your figure. Man, when I was a kid, we didn't get mayonnaise. I didn't know what Duke's was for a long time because all we got was Miracle Whip. So I thought mayonnaise was Miracle Whip, and it was kind of sweet. And then we got Duke's. I was like, oh, wait a minute, I like this. So I would probably have to go barbecue sauce because I could probably get close enough to it using some other things. But mayonnaise would be tough to get rid of. I'm not a huge. My kids hate mayonnaise, but they like mayonnaise and things you make with mayonnaise. So that's kind of thing. Coach Mitchell, really enjoyed you this week. Thanks a lot for coming on. You taught me some stuff I did not know about writing on the floor with your pen. So I learned something.
The away team might not like that too much.
I didn't hear Randall's answer to the clipboard question, but I guarantee you it was clipboard because only two coaches I know break many clipboards is Randall and Ed Addy at Western Tablet. The Kings are breaking clipboards. I used to have a coach Addy as his assistant coach and seen him go through 4 in a game. So I used to always have 5. Seriously, I had 5 clipboards because he would always break 1 or 2. But Christy, Coach Mitchell, thanks a lot for coming on. We'll catch you next week.
Thank you, guys. Y'all have a great week.
Coach.
Take care.
Yeah.
All right, that's Coach Mitchell. He's one of the best girls basketball coaches in the state of North Carolina. Gary, it's your time, my friend.
All right, coach versus coach.
Coach versus coach. Here we go.
I like that. That's nice, isn't it? That's a great job by your graphics team, Langston. They need to make some more money. All right, guys.
We got to have Coach Lewis in there. They didn't have Coach Lewis. We'll get that fixed for next week.
Okay. Guys, first question. Should the home team be allowed to choose to wear a white, a dark, or neutral color uniform at home instead of always having to wear white? Should that be left up to the home team? Jason, you go first.
Yeah, it's easy. No, they get confused.
Yep.
I mean, you wait, we switched. Oh, we didn't. You got two teams wearing white or black. No, you can't keep. There's too many other things that can go wrong. So no, we got to keep it simple. Kiss, baby, kiss.
Keep it simple.
Rick?
I agree. I'm traditional, old school. I think the home team should always wear white, and also you avoid the confusion.
Randall?
Listen, I'm agreeing with these two. I remember in high school one time we played at home and I forgot my uniform. How you forget your home uniform is beyond me, but it's too many things that can get lost in translation, like Coach Grube said. Just keep it simple.
Alex?
Well, let's make it unanimous right here. And I just want to make one other point. Everyone makes good points about confusion and forgetting uniforms. But the other thing we really need to consider on a very serious note is that there are many schools who have socioeconomic stratifications that make it difficult in these situations. Yeah, we can have fun with it, but it's an economics and equity issue in a lot of cases. And we have to be cognizant of that as we're trying to create opportunities for students. So this makes it easy and level the playing field. Home team should wear white.
Okay, unanimous. Should the 3-point line be moved back to the college distance to prevent confusion, from gym to gym, officiating crew from officiating crew? Should we just have one uniform line for college and high school? Rick?
Absolutely. Let the high school players get used to it, but also going back to the confusion issue, you just watch how many high school players, when they go out and set up, they're always setting up behind the college 3-point line anyway. That's the line that they see. So it's better just go ahead and have one line and make it uniform.
All right. Randall?
I'm going to agree with Coach Lewis, especially for where he runs a lot of his events this year. That Rock Hill Sports Center with the 3 different lines is extremely difficult. And I remember getting my team out there and telling them, toe the line. And for the first half of the game, we're towing the college and pro line. And I literally called a timeout to yell at them to tell them, no, we're towing the high school line. That's where you guys play. That's where we're going to shoot from. And even after that, it didn't matter. That college line, I don't know, it's something about it that they're always shooting from. So if we have one uniform line, I think that would be good, especially going on our shot clock argument from last week.
Jason?
No, I played, before there was a 3-point line. But the reason they put the 3-point line back is because the bodies are bigger and stronger at the next levels. These kids aren't at that level. So let's let them get good at 19-9. And then with the kids that are lucky enough to play at the next level, they'll step back and they'll be in the gym and they'll get better at those things. But right now we don't really have that issue. Our bodies aren't as big as college at bodies. They're not as big as pro bodies. So we don't need, that's something to move forward and look at the next level as something to aspire to.
Alex?
I want to agree with Coach Grube, but I want to tie in a point that Coach Clark made. And here's what I mean by that. All right. It should not be a uniform line because of just the physical circumstances right here. And we should not be making decisions about high school basketball based on 1% or what 1% of high school basketball players are going to do. And they're not physically, other than the 1% who are going to go on to college, you're not physically prepared to shoot from that far out. That's not the point of the game. But I would like to tie in that we want to be in a position wherever that line is to teach the defensive strategy of towing the line that Coach Clark pointed out. Because that was something I taught when I coached. We're going to tow that line defensively. If the kid can hit shots from 5 feet beyond the arc, then he should be playing at the next level. But holistically, what Coach Grube said, it's a matter of physical development and not making rules based on 1% of kids playing at the 1% of the kids who are high school players going to the next level. So it shouldn't be uniform because it infringes on teaching the game well.
Okay. like your logic there. And don't forget, you got girls playing on the same floors. Who's going to win the ACC this year? Let's go with you, Alex. Duke, UNC, Virginia, or somebody else?
I'm going to be. It's hard pressed to go against Virginia, and the reason being is Virginia has enabled its program to evolve into being system driven and having that system in place and fit the right pieces in and develop those players over multiple years, kind of like Villanova did when it won the 2 championships in 3 years. Virginia's kind of to that point. Now, Virginia has very, very good players, mind you, but is able to cultivate players within that system a little differently over multiple years, which we don't see at Duke and UNC, who might have more talent but are more susceptible to the one and done. I think that the fluidity induced by COVID-19 and not knowing whether you can play or not play one day to the next is going to be more difficult in terms of building a cohesive unit with players who've just come in. So in this situation, and for everything else I said, I'd say Virginia.
Rick?
I would say Virginia, but I think it's just going to be just a really unusual year in ACC with COVID. I think it's going to be wide open. I think it's going to be more competitive than most people realize. I think you're going to have teams that you wouldn't really think about that would be competitive because of the situation with COVID. But also the thing about it is, let's go with Virginia, for example. They do have the best system in place. They have probably the team that has the most seasoned veterans, and that will probably play in. If I had to pick a dark horse, I'm going to go with UNC.
Okay. Randall.
Oh, I'm going to go with my boys. And even after Saturday night's debacle, they didn't get off to a great start, but hopefully they can turn it around Tuesday night versus Michigan State. I'm going to go with the Blue Devils. I think Mr. Stewart and Mr. Johnson, the 2 freshmen, get into that lineup with Wendell Moore and Matthew Hurt and Joey Baker and Jordan Goldwire. And I think that once Coach K is able to mix those guys in, his returning defensive players in with the offensive firepower that he brought in, I think that this team makes a run like the Tyus Jones, Jaleel Okafor, Justice Winslow, Duke Blue Devils.
Jason.
Did he just say Duke and defense? Man, that's crazy. You can't get kids that one and done and to buy into defense. That's why they had to play zone a couple years ago anyway. If I had to say one of these on there, I'm going to go with Tony Bennett's Virginia team. Their guard play is outstanding, and they do this thing called defense. Krzyzewski might want to go watch a couple of clinics over there to learn to pick up some defensive habits that his guy – well, no, he doesn't because they're going to go make money. But here's the thing. I like Florida State, I'll be honest with you. I think in this weird scenario, Florida State lost a couple of draft picks. Number 4 here from Charlotte, from West Charlotte. But, man, he didn't even start for them. And they add a 7-footer and a 6'9", 5-star point guard. And they're athletic. I mean, I think, and if I'm not mistaken, you guys can tell if I'm wrong. You can check my facts here. 16-4 in the league last year, right? And they're going to be good, I think. So I like somebody else if I'm going to go on there. But if I'm a betting man, I'm going to put 51% on Virginia and 49% on Florida State.
Coach Grube, listen.
Yeah.
The Duke players that they started the other night, they couldn't score. Like literally couldn't score. They were out there to play hard and defend until those freshmen came in to save the day.
Oh, no. This year might be an anomaly, But when the years, basically Krzyzewski went, not Patino. What's the guy from Kentucky? I can't think of his name now. I always forget. Calipari. They kind of went to that route. They go one and dones, and because Calipari did it with 18 of the top 23 players in America one year, that was the model that everybody went with. Carolina has got a system. They're going to be good. every 3 or 4 years if those guys stay their junior and senior year. And you saw that run they made for 10 years at Roy, and everybody was on Roy for it. But after they got those juniors and seniors that don't leave for the league, it started with Raymond Felton and them and Sean May and them. That when they come back after their sophomore year, they're up for a title about every 4 years. But the one and dones are so much. Today it's college basketball landscape is crazy because you think about all these mid majors that get juniors and seniors, and they're going to beat a guy that's 5-star because they're mad. They're playing pissed off because I didn't get an offer from Duke or Carolina, but I got better every year, and they're 22-year-old or 21-year-old men playing against an 18-year-old 5-star who's been told he's the best.
Here,
Go ahead.
Okay. Nobody talks about this to the point that Coach Grube just made. Everyone got hung up on the Kentucky model from 2012, which has been proven to be a farce, as Villanova did with the 2 and 3 years. But the other thing people don't talk about with that model is look at the kids who were on that Kentucky team. We're talking Michael Kidd Gilchrist. Who did he play for? He played high school for Kevin Boyle at St. Patrick's. Anthony Davis, Brandon Knight, they came from elite high school programs where they, as immensely talented 5-star players, knew how to play in a system. Yeah. They came in knowing that. John Calipari did not teach that in 38 games. Those kids came in knowing how to do that.
It hasn't. That model has not worked in Lexington.
Exactly.
It worked in Durham though, because Okafor, Winslow, Tyus Jones, they were able to bring home a national championship with the one and done. So I know it doesn't work for everybody, but it's worked in Durham a couple times already.
Well, guys, let me ask you this, because you're all talking about a system versus one and done. Roy has the belief that, I'm sitting here with this Carolina sweatshirt on, that size still matters. What do you think? Carolina has 4 bigs that can play. Does size still matter in college basketball?
If you use it correctly, yes.
You got to have people to get the ball to. Guard play is key. I mean, you got to have the guards. Because if you don't have the guard, you can't get those bigs the ball. But I mean, it does matter. If you're having an off night, those bigs will help you get you second chance points and maybe keep you in a game. But guard play is where it's at. I mean, at the high school level and at the college level, those are the
Rick,
key.
Your thoughts? You see it all. What do you think?
I would agree. You got to have good guard play. I mean, you can have all the bigs in the world, but if they don't get touches in the paint, it doesn't really do any good there. But I agree with Coach Grube there. You got to have good guard play, and normally that's who the player that gets the team involved in the offensive sets in the half court, runs the plate break in transition. That's what's going to be most important. So whoever has the best guard play usually will win.
I agree 100%. You got to have players in there that can get the ball inside to the post. And if you don't have – and that's a struggle for athletes, high school guys right now. It's so many people out here that when they get a big, they don't know how to get the ball inside. And, I think post-entry and post-feeding and just basketball IQ of knowing where to make those passes is something that's definitely being under-taught right now.
You realize that part of Roy's philosophy on that was infused by the way his team basically got, for lack of a better way of saying it, got embarrassed in the 2008 national semifinal versus Kansas. Bill Self and the Jayhawks made a commitment from the get-go in that game that they were going to play inside out. They thought they could send the ball inside and get the job done. And they did. And they looked great in doing it. So, I mean, obviously Roy remembers that. But to what everyone is saying, you got to have someone who can get them the ball, but having that big man for whom you can run a guard, a point guard, a shooter, and the big man, so you can run arguably my favorite offense of all time. We're going to line up and run power every day. If you give me bigs like that, you got to have the guards to get them the ball. But if you can give me a big and let me run power all day, or let me go double post all day long, let's do it. and I dare you to line up and stop me.
Yeah, and also the 3-point line has sort of deferred away from the inside game too at the collegiate level, because basically if you have perimeter shooters, it sort of offsets the interior play.
Mhm. Well, guys, Rick Pitino suggested that they move the entire college season back into May, and call it May Madness. We've seen the number of college football games that are getting postponed on a weekly basis, and that number goes up every weekend. Can we expect to see the same thing happen in college basketball? You think they should back up a little bit, or you think it's the wrong messenger? Randall.
I do. I think it's. I don't think it's the wrong message. I understand what Coach Pitino is trying to do, and I actually like the idea. But I think that it's one of those things where if we push it back, we're going to continue to push it back, and to continue to push it back. I think you just got to try your best to get it in right now, and kind of, what happens.
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to agree. I mean, for selfish reasons, I would love to see those games pushed back because I don't know, but when I'm in season, I don't really, I'm a huge Indiana fan, IU grad, but I don't get a chance to watch them play because I'm watching film or we're preparing for a game on Tuesdays, big Tuesday night on ACC or Big Ten or whatever we're playing. So, I'd love to see all those games, but I think Randall's right. It's already started too. I think it's kind of a moot point now. They've kicked it off, and we got big games coming up. So it's going to be hard to do that. And I think nobody wants to see March Madness canceled last year, but I think everybody understands we're in a different world. I mean, Alex has talked about it before. We're in uncharted waters in every aspect of life. So you've got to do with what you can and hope for the best.
And the season is going to be very, very fluid throughout the course of the year. I mean, you may be scheduled to play Team X on Friday night, and they may have a COVID situation, and you're going to be forced to play another team.
Mm-hmm.
And we've already seen that. I mean, look at Queens University. They were a fill-in to go in and play, and they went up and made a name for themselves, although they lost a 1-point game to George Mason, a Division I school. They beat Howard the next night and then lost to Belmont, but that was on the fly. And I think basically what you're seeing now is with the college landscape, the college coaches don't have the time to prepare for that next. They don't know who they're playing sometimes. In the past, Sunday night, you have a game on Thursday. Guess what? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're preparing, you're watching film for the next opponent. And if you're playing on Sunday, Friday and Saturday, you're doing the same thing. You're watching film, you're preparing for that team that you're playing on Sunday. And what's happening now is you're going to be probably playing teams that you didn't have a chance to prepare for, and you're just playing them on the fly. And I think that's going to be the standard situation throughout the course of the season. If you're not playing and you can play, I think schools have to work together and say, hey, the opponent that I'm playing on Friday night is canceled, and you have another team that's playing another team on Friday night that's canceled. The teams that can play, let those two teams play. And that's going to be the landscape of college basketball this year.
Alex?
I'd like to return briefly to make sure that I heard something correctly. I think Gary mentioned or asked in his question, is it the right idea or is it the right? I believe the word Gary used was messenger, I think. And I want to speak to that. And frankly, Rick Pitino was the wrong messenger for this. I'm just going to come out and say it. Rick Pitino is the wrong messenger for this on a number of levels right now. Now you hearken to ask the question, what's in this for him? And we are in chaotic times, whether we're talking health-wise, whether we're talking social justice-wise, whatever we're talking about, right? These are uncharted territories right here. And for whatever happened or didn't happen at Louisville, at Kentucky, at anywhere else, for whatever people might believe or however you feel about any of that stuff right there, there are enough circumstances surrounding Rick Pitino that he is the wrong messenger at the wrong time for this. And that delegitimizes the total message any way you look at it. So no,
I agree 100%.
Wrong messenger.
I wish he had that. I don't care who came up with the idea, but he should have given it to Coach K or Roy or Tony Bennett or somebody and say, hey, one of you ACC guys.
Yes.
Hey, what do you think about this idea? And they say, yeah, I like it. Then let them present it. But as soon as Rick Pitino said it, it had no chance. None. All right, last question, guys. Who's going to the Final Four? Gonzaga and who else?
I'm glad you started out with them because, boy, oh, boy, watching Jalen Suggs the other night, I was like, we can go ahead and stamp that ticket. That Gonzaga team might be the best Gonzaga team I've ever seen. They are loaded. They are long. They are athletic. They are skilled. It was crazy to watch. So I'm definitely putting the Zags in there. I like Villanova. I like Jeremiah Robinson. They have a lot of scoring power that they've shown already early on. Illinois is another team with Kofi, the big fella inside. You know, both those teams, Illinois and Villanova, had 4 to 5 scores in double figures in their first few games. So I really like those three. And for me, when I get ready to pick Final Fours, and I always do this before the tournament starts, I look at offensive efficiency and defensive efficiency. And I think one of the best coaches when it comes to those two things, and a guy who I expect to make a deep run into the playoffs or into the NCAA tournament, be Chris Beard. I know that Texas Tech just played Houston in a very, a game where they were getting blown out and fought back and ended up losing. But I'm going to go with the Texas Tech Red Raiders as my fourth team as to who's going to go to the Final Four.
Rick, who you got?
I'm going to go with Gonzaga and Villanova because I think they're two of the most fundamentally sound teams in college basketball. Gonzaga is probably the most efficient offensive team. They have a combination of both interior presence and also the perimeter guard play that makes them really effective. I think they put on a clinic this past weekend. I think they would be the heads-on favorite to win it. I like Villanova. Like I said, Villanova, you know what you're going to get. That's going to be a seasoned veteran team. You watch them play, it's going to be the same stuff. They're going to give you a shot fake, one dribble pull up, shot fake, dribble into the lane, jump stop off 2 feet, reverse pivot, kick out, hit the open guy. So those are my two favorite, Villanova and Gonzaga. My other ones would be Baylor, and also I'm going to pick Iowa. I think Iowa has a big guy, and they also have good guard play, and I think those would be my top four. My dark horse would be, I guess, would be Virginia.
Jason?
Yeah, I mean, these guys are talking about Big Ten teams and Illinois and
no Indiana.
Iowa, they haven't been good. I'll throw a name out there, Roy Marble, B.J. Armstrong. They haven't been good since those guys were there. Was that 40 years ago? Nah, it's really 30. But Michigan State, you want to talk about a team that gets it done? Michigan State. Tom Izzo, they get players from Flint, and they run a system. I like them. I like Gonzaga, but I'm going to tell you, I don't like Gonzaga's league. That's why they have to go out there and have to play these big games. With another coming up on the TV is going to be another big game because they can't get that league game. So I think that hurts them down the road. And I like Florida State. I think that and I do like Virginia. But I think Florida State, Michigan State, Gonzaga, and then I'm going to throw out. I'll wait until I see the matchups, that last team, because I think if there's going to be another year where we see, craziness, this could be it, where you see a 16 versus a 1, but beating more than just the 1, kind of getting deeper into that tournament. I think if that's going to happen, this could be the year.
I do think this is going to be the year that the team that has the best system and is the most fundamentally sound will probably go the furthest because there's going to be so much interruption in the course of the season.
Advantage to system. Yep.
Alex?
I think we all pretty much agree on Gonzaga just from an on paper and talent perspective. Unless something crazy happens there, I think we're on board there. I do like Villanova for some things we talked about earlier. I love the system and the way that the system has pervaded time and space or transcended time and space. I like that. And I also do want to throw a shout out that we have a legacy of championship winning coaches among the best dressed. I mean, Jay Wright and Joe Badgett are right there in the same line with each other in terms of being some of the best dressed high school and college coaches who win championships all the time. The last two teams, I do want to give a shout out. I think I know Coach Grube is a Big Ten guy, but I think the pieces might be there for Iowa this year with the dominant big man and the solid guard play, like we just talked about in the last segment. If the bracket is there, then an experienced team with the system that's played together, dominant guard play, dominant big man, I think that could happen. And then the fourth team, which certainly has it on paper to get the job done, and this would be the sentimental pick, a North Carolina connection from, and make sure I pronounce this correctly, Langston, Cherryville, North Carolina. Cherryville. I'll make sure I do that correctly. And that would be Florida State and Leonard Hamilton, a Gaston County native. And the reason that I think that with the right bracketing, they're certainly athletic enough to get the job done. And as Langston knows, they will defend you to no end.
They will.
So system,
now too. So they're getting better
system
talent.
and defense, pro style, that length, and then obviously the sentimental favorite with the Gaston County native and Leonard Hamilton. I'd say Florida State for that 14.
I'm just waiting on Gary to say his Tar Heels.
Oh, I'm not gonna say the Tar Heels. I'm not, and here's why.
They got the size.
I watched the game the other night, and I think one thing that was apparent, now it's very early, and you know they will evolve as the season continues. But one of the things that my buddies were texting me, and we were on, going on Facebook group text and all that type of stuff. But the biggest thing that bothered me about Carolina is if you look at their offensive sets, they always had 4 people in the lane, one's outside, well, 4 people inside the 3-point line. And so therefore you got 4 defenders with that. So you got 8 people inside the 3-point line, and then the ball handler and whoever's defending the ball handler outside the 3-point line. And it was just too congested.
They're going to have outside shooting to
and you got to have spacing in today's game.
I heard them last year.
And they don't play a spacing type game, or they just didn't execute the spacing. But
you can run into a big system, but you got to have 3 dudes around it who can shoot the ball. And right now, they just haven't shown they can shoot the basketball very well. And like last year, that was the same thing. But Final Four teams, I like Gonzaga, I like Virginia, I like Michigan State. I forget which one you guys said Michigan State. I watched Michigan State just beat the drums out of Notre Dame the other day. And the fourth one, I'm going to have to wait for the brackets to come out. I have to kind of wait and see. I think there could be a dark horse run. I looked at Richmond beat Kentucky today, and I'm thinking maybe there's a dark horse run this crazy year.
Richmond's a very good basketball team. Yeah. And anybody that I would talk to before that game, I let them know that was probably going to be a Richmond Spiders victory. And they're a good team.
Yeah. Well, guys, it's been a great show. I learned so much today about you guys. Christy gave me the best instruction by writing on the floor. I'm going to try that if I ever coach AAU again, writing on the floor, see if I get in trouble. But we're going to keep you guys.
I didn't interject this. When they were talking about the clipboard, one of the things I used to do on the way to the locker room is tell one of the principals, assistant principal, the principal, I was like, hey, I'm going to break something, but I'm not really mad. I just need to get their attention.
Make a point,
Yeah. So when you get that call, you know it's coming, but I'm not mad. And usually I wasn't mad.
Yeah.
It's that I needed to get their attention. We weren't playing well on a team we were supposed to be. And you had to get their attention. But I wish I'd have known about writing on the floor too.
Yeah, I didn't know about that. See, but Randall breaks clipboards because he's really mad. Like Randall's like Bruce Banner when the game starts. And about the third quarter, he starts turning green. That board's gonna break.
Well, there's one thing a coach can't do without, and that's a whistle.
Yeah. Gotta have a whistle, absolutely. Although Barbara Nelson can do that thing with her fingers. It's like better than a whistle. I never could do it. She whoop, and it's like everybody turns around. She's great at that. But guys, it's been a great show. We're gonna definitely do it again next week. I enjoyed it. Like I said, I learned a lot. So let's get back together. I'm Langston. That's Randall. That's Alex. That's the Guru, Rick Lewis. That's Gary. That's Coach Grube. We catch you next week. We are talking preps.
Take
Thank you.
care.